I had the opportunity to, and I was telling Briana earlier, I had the opportunity to go to her Wikipedia page, which is, Briana, it's really something. I've been a soccer fan for many years, and I sort of followed your career early on, but reading the Wikipedia is insane. So I don't know if the page of notes I have will do you justice. I also want to mention that there's an iconic event in sports history involving Briana. I think it was in 1999, the World Cup. She made a save, a save that is still talked about, and you can view it on YouTube, as I did many times last night. And I told Briana, it's just a part of sports history that is unbelievable, whether you're a soccer fan or not. Briana Scurry is widely recognized as one of the world's most talented and influential soccer goalkeepers. Her 173 international appearances as one of the first African-American professional female soccer players helped significantly diversify the sport. Named starting goalkeeper for the United States women's national team in 1994, she led the team on an illustrious run that included 2 Olympic gold medals. In the 1999 FIFA World Championship, which represented one of the most seminal events in American athletic history, as I was saying earlier, Briana made the iconic shootout save that carried the United States to victory. And once again, you guys have to go on YouTube. It's really breathtaking. Briana pioneered the first paid professional women's soccer league as a founding player in 2001. In 2010, unfortunately, Briana suffered a debilitating concussion that led her to her retirement. Since then, Briana has repurposed her visibility to become one of the nation's foremost thought leaders on traumatic brain injuries. Through her immeasurable impact on the landscape of women's soccer and American sports culture, Briana received the National Association of Black Journalists Sam Lacey Award, inclusion in the United States Women's National Team All-Time Best 11, and a permanent feature as the Title IX exhibit in the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. As one of the first African American and openly LGBT professional female soccer players, Briana has championed diversity and equality through her legendary career. The epitome of a team player with a palpable love of the game, Briana draws on her resiliency to advocate for equality, traumatic brain injury awareness, and the development of women's soccer. I will end with great pleasure. It is my honor to introduce the 2016 individual COBI Award winner, Briana Scurry.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that. It's an honor for me to be here. I met Joanne at the congressional briefing several weeks ago in DC. It's the second time I had done something like that, and I, as I always try to be, was very honest about how difficult it was for me surviving and recovering from my TBI. And I'm honored that she found my story, one that was memorable and honest, and hopefully as I go forward and continue with my advocacy, it continues to impact people in a positive way, even though for me, it's very therapeutic and oftentimes difficult to be as raw and honest as I am about how bad it got for me. So I am so honored to be here tonight with you all. And I also like to say that this event today is the cherry on top of one of the most amazing weeks I've ever had in my life. As David mentioned, I am so honored and humbled to be the Title IX permanent exhibit at the African American History and Culture Museum. which opened on Saturday. And for me, getting that award was to be in the museum. 2 years ago, they approached me and asked me if I was willing. And it's interesting, when they came to me and asked me if I would be willing to donate my stuff, I'm like, I had it all out on the table. I'm like, what do you want? Take it all, take whatever you need. And it was one of the most surreal things that I've ever been through. As an athlete, I know a lot of you are athletes in this room. You have a passion and you strive to be your very best at what you love and what you toil at, and you work on your game, frequently, and it's difficult at times. And fortunately for me, I was able to play on the women's national team, and it was a dream that I had since I was 8 years old to be an Olympian. And you go through your life and you do your thing, your passion. And ever since I was 8, I always believed and dreamed that eventually I would be an Olympian. My parents always supported me in saying that, yes, you can do whatever it is you put your mind to, and you can be whoever and whatever you want as long as you believe in it and you work towards it and you never let that dream die. And so being in the African American Museum, for me, was something above, way and beyond I could have ever possibly expected. I was a young skinny girl from Dayton, Minnesota, a very small suburban town, and somehow I went from that small suburb to this amazing, and I highly recommend all of you go to see, facility that they have built for African Americans to go and learn where we come from and what we went through and where we are today. And I'm honored to be part of the celebratory portion of that museum in the Game Changers exhibit. And it's an amazing, amazing thing to be a part of something like that. That was completely unexpected for me. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys, this is the first time I've actually been able to speak about it. And I really wanted to take this opportunity to talk about it with you guys and share it with you. And that goes into my other passion. So for the longest time, for the first 40 years of my life, soccer was my passion. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, in April 2010, I was playing my passion in a game with the Washington Freedom against the Philadelphia Independents. And I got hit in the side of the head with a knee from an opposing player. And that day completely changed my life. That was the last soccer game I played. It was over 6 years ago. I had a concussion. Now, I've had concussions before, and a lot of you are in here, like I said, are athletes, and I'm sure several of you have had them. Who's had one in here? Concussion. Right, everybody, just about, right? So I was out there thinking to myself, you know what, this is gonna get better. I felt a little woozy, a little groggy. The jerseys were looking a little foggy. The names on the backs of the jerseys weren't looking right, and I was tilting to the left a little bit and starting to get a little bit of a headache on the right side, and oddly on the left side of my head as well. And I thought to myself, it'll get better. I've had a concussion before, no problem. And the sports culture, as you all know, is, get over it, get through it, push on, you're fine, you'll be fine. At the end of the half, I went off the pitch and I was walking to my left. My trainer came out to me and she looked me in the eye, she took me by the hands and she said, "Are you okay?" And I looked at her and I said, "No, I'm not okay." Now, I had the first few symptoms immediately thereafter, but as time went on, I started to develop additional symptoms. Sensitivity to light, sound, and movement. I had a little bit of a stomach ache and a headache. I had, focus issues. She asked me to remember 3 words. I couldn't tell you what they were. I still don't remember what they were. And as time went on, I started to think, this is really serious. Little did I know, weeks would turn into months, would turn into years. For 3 years, I toiled in the wilderness. And I call the wilderness the detachment, the feeling that you feel when you've suffered a TBI and it's just not getting better. It's a really difficult thing to go through. It changed my mood, it changed my personality, it changed everything. Dave mentioned that he saw my video last night about my great save that I made in the '99 World Cup. I watched that video too back then in that time when I was going through the wilderness, and I didn't even recognize who that girl was in that video. I was so depressed, so detached, so unlike myself. To the point where I really thought that I'm not going to get any better. This is going to be my lot in life. And doctor after doctor after doctor told me, it's not going to get much better for you. This is just how it's going to be for you. You're going to have to accept it, Bri. Maybe it's a little bit of depression because your career ended and whatnot. And I said to them, you know what? No, I don't think that's true. But that's what happened to me. So 1 year turned into 2, turned into 3. Finally, by the grace of God or whatever power you believe in, I finally found a doctor that understood what was happening to me. And ironically and fortunately, this doctor was a soccer fan. He met me, Dr. Crutchfield, and he saw in my eyes immediately that there was something really wrong because he had seen me when I made that save. He was a soccer fan, he knew me. He knew the beast of a player that I was compared to the shell of that beast before him. He was the first doctor that actually examined me, who knew what to do, who did certain tests. It took 10 minutes, and he said, Bri, I want you to sit down on this table. And he looked me in my eye and he said, I'm going to help you. And we both just started bawling because finally somebody knew what was wrong. And after a couple of more months, I went to see Dr. Crutchfield over and over again, and we decided that I needed to get a surgery done. So I have 2 2-inch incisions. I had occipital nerve release, so I had 2 2-inch incisions on the back of my neck where they dug out my nerves, and the whole back of my head was numb for months and months. The source of my headaches was behind my left ear. So that's the nerves they had to dig out, especially, but they took the ones out of the right too because they were also damaged. And that was 3 years ago next month. For a year after that, I had therapy on my balance, my focus, cognitive issues. I had a ton of things wrong. But it was right before that surgery that I saw an article in the newspaper that said 1 out of every 2 female soccer players is going to suffer a concussion at some point in time in their soccer career. And I was like floored by that statistic. And I also said to myself, you know what? You've been through 3 years of absolute misery and hell to the point where you didn't even recognize yourself in the mirror. And you couldn't get off the couch to do anything but walk once a day. You need to turn this thing around, this horrible, difficult, miserable time, and you need to help people. Because if this can happen to someone like me, who is not one, but 2 Olympic gold medals, if I can be misdiagnosed for years, then I need to get out there and show my face and show a few things. Not just that it's not just football players that have this issue, and it's not just men that have this issue. Women's soccer was the highest on the list at the time that I started doing this. There's slip and fall accidents. There's children, elderly, suffering from TBI. I need to get out there and show a different face, a different side, that it's not just about football and hits and money. That there's a face, there's a person behind every TBI. And they're struggling a lot of the times, and they don't know what to do, and their caregivers, bless their hearts, don't know what to do either. So I started being an advocate. And that was and became and still is my second passion. So I have committed my life to making the second 40 years more impactful than the first 40 years. And TBI is the main vehicle for that, my advocacy, because I get out here and I tell people how crappy it got for me. And I'm grateful for this award because it is the first, thank you, Joanna, the first award that I've ever won that has anything to do with my TBI. And this award is as meaningful to me as both of these, because this was won through my passion, and now this award has been given to me through my passion. So thank you all so much. I have had a fantastic time since I stepped foot in this area, and thank you so much for being here. And please, the programs that COBI sponsors are the ones that don't always get the money that they deserve. Walking once a day helped pull me out of the darkness I was in. Things like, working out, horses, swimming, these things don't get the money that they need. This organization is doing something that is above and beyond, in my opinion, that so many other organizations that are so much bigger than it does. It is actually touching that space in a TBI survivor, that space that will help them go from the darkness and into the light. Activity and being reconnected to other human beings is what COBI gives its money to. At the end of the day, that is where the money's going. So please donate as much as you can, because there are so many people like me that aren't as lucky as I am. I have recovered almost completely, but there are several of us that may not. And awards like this and this money goes to help it get them at least from the darkness into the light. Thank you.